2026 is crossing the halfway mark, so as is tradition, me and the boys from Push Square have knocked our heads together to cook up a top 10 list of the best PS5 games of 2026 so far. These aren't dictated by score or anything like that, but more how they've impressed the team as a whole, or how they've managed to stay with us in the months since. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, Aiden here from Push Square, the channel where I talk all things PlayStation, and we're kicking off today's list with Falcom's massive Trails series, which is now approaching some kind of conclusion, making Trails Beyond the Horizon one of the most brain-bending installments yet. The stakes are incredibly high in this lengthy RPG, which is split between three parties of fan-favourite characters. Needless to say, prior knowledge of the franchise is a necessity for this one, but that's what makes Trails' interconnected storytelling so potent. Horizon in particular offers up some narrative revelations that players have been pondering for years, and the result is one of the most memorable adventures to date. It's showcasing some impressively in-depth gameplay too, as Falcom flexes its seriously underrated turn-based battle and character building muscles. This pick is certainly one for the fans, but honestly, it's never too late to get stuck into the Trails series. So if you happen to have a wee 500 hours lying around, it's a ride you do not want to miss. Debuting at the number 9 spot, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight manages to be a huge step forward for LEGO experiences, whilst tapping on that nostalgic nerve and celebrating all that is Batman. The result is a joyous experience that is relentlessly fun. As you may have come to expect, this LEGO entry is really pulling from the entire pantheon of Batmen, with references of everything from the highly regarded The Batman with Robert Pattinson to a tweet that Michael Caine once put out. Yeah, there's Easter eggs, cameos, story beats, and even recreations of shots. This one has it all. And what the team here at Push Square loved in particular is that rather than dumping hundreds of characters on you, like in the Skywalker saga, LEGO Batman focuses up a little with just 7 playable characters, each with exclusive moves in combat, and you can play around with each in a bricky rendition of an open world Gotham City. What's not to love? Here's one that I honestly did not expect to make it onto the list, but Crimson Desert takes the number 8 spot, even though originally it debuted on pushsquare.com with just a 6 out of 10. However, after a frankly absurd amount of post-launch updates, resident RPG man Rob checked out the game now that a lot of the kinks have been ironed out, and he was clearly impressed. This is an utterly enormous RPG from far.Ps5 that originally started out life as an MMO. Now, however, it's an expansive single-player RPG with enough mechanics and systems to make your head spin. But what you end up with is an outstanding open world that revels in joyous exploration. While the combat starts out slow, it steadily becomes this dynamic play space, which is great when you get to test out your moves with some of the game's brilliant boss fights. Oh, and look, it is absolutely gorgeous on the PS5 with unreal draw distances and just insane amounts of detail. This game looked rough on launch admittedly, but the team at far.Ps5 has turned it around in the following months, revealing a special kind of open world experience. Going somewhat old school, Pragmata doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, nor does it try to outstay its welcome. It's a roughly 10-hour single-player experience where spacefarer Hugh must navigate a moon base infested with killer robots, all with the help of a childlike AI called Diana. It's not just run-of-the-mill though, as Pragmata has this really cool hacking minigame system during combat where to deal more damage to enemies, you have to navigate a little grid in real time. It's a nice spin, and to be honest, it never really gets old. What I think we all loved about this game though is its simple structure. Early on, it's clear that you're working your way around this moon base with a handful of distinct areas, and all of these come with their own visual identities, unique mechanics, and some new enemies as combat progressively gets tougher. And at the heart of it all is a story that's kinda cliche in parts, but also quite wholesome. Pragmata just feels like a classic video game from 15 years ago or something, and really I mean that in the best sort of way. We expect good things from Supergiant Games, but even still, Hades 2 has proven the developer's mastery of the roguelike genre. This stylish sequel is addictive, rewarding, and incredibly compelling. Hades 2 is a tough game, and that initial high difficulty will put some off, but stick it out and you'll experience impeccable isometric action, all wrapped up in stunning art and sound design, and to top it off, you've got some sublime music. This one is just a feast for the senses. You then have an admittedly simple yet undeniably compelling story of Melino, the sister of Zagreus, the protagonist from the first game. Trained your whole life for revenge, it's time to fight your way through the underworld to take down Kronos, the titan of time and the enemy of the gods of Olympus. Infusing its narrative with Greek mythology is part of what I loved about Hades 1, but now it's advancing its gameplay to deliver unparalleled build crafting depth and just really meaningful progression. Cracking the top 5, Resident Evil Requiem is a fantastic amalgam of both old and new in the Resi franchise. For those that love the over-the-top action of titles like RE4, you've got that with Requiem. But for those of you that love the brutally tense first-person horror of entries like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard or Village, you've also got that with Requiem. Does it always get that balance right? I don't really think so, but the game remains fun throughout, and boy does this thing look great on PS5. Capcom's RE engine has really mastered the art of lighting, with disgusting little details, usually of the fleshy variety, speckled across its setting. What's more is that since its launch we've had a cool DLC like Leon Must Die Forever added to the game for free. It's a full-on roguelike survival mode, so there's a little something extra to enjoy once you've completed its campaign. The 2026 release that has taken up the most of my time this year is Marathon, the extraction shooter from Bungie. Exploring the abandoned remains of the failed Marathon expedition on Tau Ceti 4 is one of my favourite pastimes at the moment. I love it when a multiplayer game puts in a bit of effort with its lore and narrative, and it's part of why this world, despite its colourful aesthetic, feels so grounded. Then of course you've got that top class Bungie gunplay, solid progression which has been improved since launch, and a brilliant high octane experience that mixes stealth with dashes of horror. Marathon is admittedly at the centre of some serious ire towards Bungie, however I think a lot of that ignores the obvious quality on display here. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. But does that negate that it does what it's going for really, really well? No. I think Marathon is excellent, and if you're looking for an immersive multiplayer experience, you should definitely check this one out. If you're looking for an emotional and curated single-player experience, then look no further than Mixtape. This narrative experience from Beethoven and Dinosaur is an expertly crafted trip down memory lane, where three teenagers reminisce on their past the night before they all head off for college. But as the name of the game suggests, music is very much at the forefront of this experience, with iconic tracks from the likes of Iggy Pop, the Smashing Pumpkins, and many, many more. Not just serving as background music either, but they're actually worked brilliantly into scenes across the game. It's not some expansive experience, as it's only going to take you about 4 hours to beat, but across superb set pieces, gorgeous visual design, and that impactful soundtrack, Mixtape crafts up one of the most meaningful story games in a long time. From Housemarque Games, Saros is the spiritual successor to Returnal. It's a third-person bullet hell shooter set on a mysterious alien world. You play as Arjun Devraj, a Soltari enforcer who's trying to fight his way through the monstrosities of the planet in order to find someone that he cares about. Fans of Returnal know that Housemarque narratives are never quite what they seem, and Saros brings some of that esoteric energy to its storytelling here. That leaves each of the new biomes that you reach feeling like some daring new discovery. And Housemarque has really stepped things up a notch with its environmental details, with some just simply jaw-dropping visuals. But of course, gameplay is king here, and Saros is not messing about. It takes a little bit to get going, but with its mixture of shields, dashes, parries, grappling, and a variety of weapons and enemies, its combat becomes this balletic dance in a hail of beams and explosions. It's some proper lock-in stuff, and I could not get enough of it. Taking the top spot, 007 First Light is our current Game of the Year contender. This action-adventure from IO Interactive is as suave as the man himself. with brilliant level design, impeccable cutscenes, and fun brawler-styled combat. Basically melding the style of IO's previous Hitman games with Naughty Dog's Uncharted series, First Light is chock full of exciting set pieces and really memorable levels. Truth be told, I think all of us here at Push Square were a little surprised by just how much of a step up this feels from IO. Even the gunplay, which was one of the things that I was most worried about with this game, feels great. But the main thing is that First Light just nails the vibe of a great Bond adventure, and does so with a stellar interpretation with Patrick Gibson's performance. Whether it's the swelling music, the globe-trotting action, or the winks and nods to the series' history, First Light is an impeccable adventure in what we hope becomes a new series. So there you have it, 10 of the best PS5 games of 2026 so far. Please let me know the games that you agree with and the ones you disagree with as well. The idea of these lists is that they evolve and shift as the years go on. What games have, really surprised us so far? What games will overthrow that? Is there a game we were really hot on at the beginning of the year but we've lost the love for as time goes on? That's the idea of these lists, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next update. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.